To learn more about how to improve your brand, visit brandrusso.com.
Hi, welcome back. We are in our, I can't even count that high now, of our all day long, going till midnight National Podcast Day. And we're celebrating it with this marathon of podcasts. Every hour, we're talking to a different nonprofit and understanding what their needs are and what they're doing to make the community a better place and how the community can support them in their efforts. And I am so excited that Evie Brooks is with us to talk about Moncus Park at the Horse Farm, because y'all, we have a world-class Central Park right here in the middle of Lafayette, Louisiana. EB, welcome to the show. Tell us all about the park.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, and also all the other nonprofits. I know it gives just so much great exposure to our community about all the great work that we're all doing. So
well, we're glad to do it. I intend to stay awake through the next 5 and then sleep for a solid 8 hours after that until I have to be back here to teach a class in the morning.
Right. Way to take the next day off, Jackie.
Right.
Sounds like you.
Ben Brouchard messaged me. He goes, hey, you did such a great job. You should take the next 2 days off. I said, I will. I'll take Saturday and Sunday off, but that's about it.
And you usually don't even take those days. So.
I really don't know.
Yeah. Well, Thank you for having me. As you mentioned, I work with Moncus Park, which is obviously this beautiful 100-acre new Central Park we're building in the middle of Lafayette. A lot of people drive right by it, or at least used to, and didn't even really appreciate that property because it's so long and narrow, which almost makes it just like the perfect Central Park for the community, because you get just a few acres in and you barely feel like you're in the middle of the city anymore.
I mean, I have perhaps been on a tour, maybe self-guided. And the thing that's amazing is that you're right. You get, I mean, just 150 feet maybe, and you don't hear Johnson Street. You don't see buildings. It is just a quiet, passive park.
It is. Birds and wind in the trees. It really is so peaceful. And I mean, Jackie, you can appreciate this, but I think a lot of people that haven't explored the whole property don't appreciate that there's 26 acres of those woodland ravines and all these amazing trails. So in addition to the amazing, $9 million we just invested in the front half of the park for phase 1, and the, $3 million we're about to invest in phase 2, it has this incredible wild zone that I think, we take it for granted that we grew up with those spaces around our neighborhoods that, it was like, don't come home till the streetlights come on. But kids these days, it's not as free flowing, right? For moms that, want that kind of wild experience, this is a great place because it's got this, kind of contained wild. It's like all sides are, really well-established neighborhoods, but kids can actually go out there and build a fort in the woods and cross a log over a stream. And I just think that that's something that kids need to have as they grow up. And I think the park is going to be a great place and a safe place to do that.
I agree. And the thing that's amazing to me, you're talking about the woods, it is, natural. This is not the kind of stuff you would find in the middle of a city at all. You're talking about like wooded creatures, snakes. It's like woods.
Absolutely. We have foxes. We have a pair of foxes that have lived out there. I mean, I'm sure it's like there's a few generations in or whatever, but they've been out there for the 15 years we've been interacting with that property.
That is amazing.
It's incredible.
Amazing.
Hawks, all sorts of stuff.
So let's go all the way back. I mean, it's 15 years. You said that, and that just shook me to my core. It is hard to believe you've been fighting the good fight for a decade and a half. So, you were a UL student, right, when all this started?
I was a little senior in college, this youthful, idealistic, kid that, just couldn't imagine anything else happening on that property other than it just being saved for everyone to enjoy the way we loved it.
Okay, and so you get word or get wind
of
the fact that there's going to be some development, and you were none too happy.
Yep.
Tell me what happened.
Newspaper announced it. We burst into tears. Jackie, I don't know if you know this part of the story, but actually, Danica, my best friend, lived on the property.
Right.
And I was set to move in with her, except they kicked her out. So we had to go find an apartment somewhere else. So it was effectively going to be like my 100-acre backyard, but it really was hers for like a year.
In that little barn in the front part, right? That's where she lived?
There was like a little white house right next to it.
Okay.
Yeah, right next to it. I mean, can you imagine?
No.
And she lived there, get this, for free. It was the university's dorm for people in my degree program in exchange for 10 hours of work a week at the horticulture center. So she was weeding for 10 hours a week to live on 100 acres off Johnson Street. I mean, it was crazy. Right. And so we were like, yeah, sign me up. We're totally moving in there together.
Yeah.
And obviously they kicked us out. And then a couple months later, the news broke on September the 30th that they were going to former university farm site set to be developed. And we made a pact that day just to do everything we could to save the horse farm.
So it was probably going to be turned into like a strip mall parking lot kind of thing, right?
It was, yeah.
And, I mean, that's not.
It was
we
gross.
have plenty of those.
It was so gross.
We have plenty.
It was like an 11-acre parking lot. I mean, we were just like, what? No. Yeah, it's much better as a park.
Yeah. So you're two college kids who are effectively homeless at this point. You've decided to save a 100-acre park in the middle of the city, and you made a couple of signs and put them in people's yards. I mean, that's it. Come on, tell me the stories. Give me the juice. How did y'all talk the city into fixing this problem that was about to be created?
Well, we were lucky because, for one thing, I was the president of the environmental club on campus, and Danica was the vice president. So we kind of like had this free reign. The other thing was, and honestly, Jackie, this is a great story too. We, that year, we had actually just been hired to do the very first Festival Acadian recycling program. So there we were. I mean, and it was disgusting, Jackie. I mean, we were like, shoulder deep in the garbage cans, like pulling all this like beer cans. It was gross. But they paid us $1,000 to do it. And so we were all in. We used that money. So all of a sudden we were like flush with cash with the organization. So we used that money to order SaveTheHorseFarm.com yard signs and bumper stickers and t-shirts and all that stuff. And it just kind of snowballed from there. One of my favorite stories is Danica's mom was like remodeling her kitchen. So we like stole a piece of plywood for a minute, painted like Pavement or Paradise on it. And, there was this big rezoning meeting that we had to defeat, kind of these little battles along the way. And so she stood in front of the park with these yard signs and this big Pavement or Paradise sign. And I ran across the street and started making these like anonymous phone calls to the media. And I was like, there is this crazy girl on Johnson Street. I don't know what's happening, but you guys should get down here and cover this story. I mean, and it just snowballed. They all showed up. It was so great. And so, I mean, we didn't know what we were doing, but we just did the best we could. And the other thing that I really always kind of tout is that it happened at the right time. This is when like MySpace and Facebook were just coming online. So we used social media, which was amazing. I mean, it was like for two college kids to be able to access your entire network of friends with a message was unheard of before. You were like a phone tree or, like emails were barely around, I mean, it was crazy. So it was like, I don't know. It was really serendipitous that it happened all at the right time and that we, we're young and dumb enough to think it might work. And it did.
And so it went from just saving it. So it wasn't going to be developed, which was step one, to now it's snowballed into this world-class Central Park where you've brought in all these park designers and park architects, and you've constructed something that's even bigger and better than that. We have. It's really, that's another great part of the story. So, I mean, obviously the Save the Horse Farm campaign really engaged thousands of people. It took so many petition signatures, letters to the editor. Obviously there was tons of political clout. The mayor got on very early on, got on board, kind of giving it that capital it needed to actually get done. I mean, a couple college kids can raise a ruckus, but it really took like Mayor Joey Durrell to get that done. But we wanted to capture that same energy of the thousands of people that had helped us save the property to help us develop the vision. And, we went through this really amazing process of hiring the landscape architects. And some of them, I will tell you the truth, like they showed up and they literally almost laid out the master plan for us. They were like, here's what your park's going to look like. And I was like, I just think we have such a better potential to tap into the excitement around this project. It's beloved by so many people. And I think that will generate a better product in the end that everyone can see themselves in. And the other thing is, Jackie, we don't receive tax dollars. So this is a donor-funded park, which is also amazing and incredible and difficult. But truthfully, and this is, people can hear this how they want, but like we needed people to see themselves in the park and approve of it because I need you to support it. Right.
I need you to become a member.
Yeah.
I need you to donate and sponsor a tree, because I need you to see that this is your vision and we want everybody to support it over the long haul,
Right. And so I know that, there have been some big donors. Thank you, Mr. Moncus.
Oh my gosh,
and
yes.
then there have been some tree buyers and some brick buyers. I mean, there's so many different ways for people to support, and we're not done yet, right? You still need more funding.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, we're just in we're wrapping up phase 1. We're about to start phase 2. I mean, there are probably going to be, I don't know, at least like 5 or 6 phases probably to really complete all of the different elements in the park. I hope we can accomplish it in 10 years. That would be a dream. But that's going to take, $30 million more dollars, which I think we can do. It's just going to take all of us and obviously, just some really big kind of philanthropists and foundations in our community that step up, and also corporate partnerships. We've gotten some, Iberia Bank is on board with the amphitheater, and so it's going to take kind of all of the different sectors to pull this incredible feat off as a community.
Right. Now, there's not a test later, but I know you know this thing like the back of your hand. So walk us through the phases, what's been accomplished already, and what the next steps are.
Yeah. So phase 1 was a big project. But a lot of people may go out there and they'll see a lot, but a lot of it is underground. So Jackie, we had to put millions in the ground because we don't want to have to tear the whole park up when we come back and build the botanical garden. We don't want to have to tear the whole thing up when we build the wedding pavilion, So a lot of it is already kind of laid in place. Obviously, a lot of the earthwork and drainage is in place. But we did build a beautiful 4-acre lake. It's lined with wetland gardens and irises and has a couple little islands, little fishing pier, and then a lot of topography. So we actually added a bunch of hills. And part of that is just, pond dirt turned upside down into a mountain, which is great. We have the highest point in Lafayette Parish at this point, which
that's what I heard.
Didn't really intend to do. I just asked my engineer. I was like, I'm sure we've got to be close. And so he looks and he was like, no, we're it. That's definitely it now. And I was like, okay, so 29 feet, just that's all it takes. Okay, cool.
Well, when you've got some parts of Lafayette Parish that are 13 feet below sea level, 29 feet is significant.
Totally. Yeah. It's just, it's not a hard thing to accomplish. So we're officially Mount Moncus, I guess, here in Lafayette. And then, so the pond is also surrounded by over 2 miles of trails. So a lot of them are gravel, so it's softer for running. So we heard a lot from the running community about it wanting to be like a lot more, user friendly on your joints, etc. Beautiful gardens. Part of that running path is what we consider like the promenade. It's lined with live oaks, making this beautiful new oak alley. And benches and, just this linear garden, and that's really spectacular. And then the other features that we have completed at this point are obviously a lot of the infrastructure, entrance, the new bridge over the coulee, and then the parking lot that has a gorgeous rain garden. It's honestly the prettiest parking lot I've ever seen in my life, which kind of, if anything, tells you that you're in a different place and that we're trying to achieve world-class parking lot status. So we're trying to achieve world-class park status across the table. And then the dog park is the other piece that I just love so much. It's this super social, lots of seating, lots of fun things for dogs to climb all over and climb through, and just going to be a really fun way for people to get out there and not only have fun with their friends, but also their furry friends.
So the dog park has its own section that's kind of cordoned off. Is that right?
It is. So yeah, it's going to be off leash.
So they can off leash. Okay.
Let them in. Yeah, let them run, get their energy out, so you don't actually have to run alongside them if you don't feel like it. Or, and so that kind of encapsulates phase 1. And then phase 2, which we're super excited about, and this is partly because a lot of the donations that came in for these next elements came in while we were under construction. And if you've ever built anything, it's not just like, oh, just shoehorn it in and finish that design real quick. So it's a process. So what's coming next is a huge play area. We've got donors for an inclusive playground, a treehouse. We're using the guys from Treehouse Masters, the TV show, Nelson, Treehouse and Supply or whatever, Pete Nelson. So that's really cool. And then a splash pad or interactive water feature. And that guy is actually a UL graduate. He's like the guy who designed the Bellagio fountains in Vegas, like world famous, world-class water feature designer. His company's called Fluidity, and he's done, just go look at their website. It's really incredible, the projects they've done. And so that's going to be super cute because it's going to have this like alligator that has jet ribs that breathe. So kids can like get in the alligator's belly.
Oh,
and then the alligator, this like 25-foot alligator is like looking back at this piero and the kids could be in the Piro, and they're like so scared they're shaking the Piro, and these jets create like fake waves off the water from the Piro from it shaking because they're so scared of this alligator. The alligator's gonna have like glowing eyes, and it's gonna be so cool.
See, I'm not even mad about No Lazy River right now. I'm into this so much.
Oh, it is like so fun.
Well, I'm going to read a couple of comments real quick because I know you've got more to say.
Oh, go for it, yeah.
But Michelle Ezell is very excited about Mount Moncus and being the highest point in Lafayette Parish.
Totally.
And she says, okay, I am now a stalker of the segment. I definitely donated to the dog park. She's
Thank you,
super
Michelle.
fired up. And then Ryan Wheeler says her kids ask about the treehouse every day. They cannot wait.
When they drive by, they're like, when's it going to be done?
Ready for the treehouse.
I ask about it every day too. So I totally get the sentiment. So
right. Okay. So we've got this swamp scene splash pad thing going on. I love it.
Absolutely. Acadiana nature play. It's going to be all themed. It's going to be so cool.
That is awesome. So that all of phase 2?
Nope. That's like one giant section that's all like kid-centric. The other thing that's going to be in there that moms will be so grateful to hear is a really great bathroom.
Oh, yes.
Yes. I know. No more portalettes at the park. So, yeah. And then the other big thing that we're building is the amphitheater. So, obviously, Iberia Bank, which is soon to become First Horizon, they sponsored that. So, that's going to be so wonderful just to have not only live music and theater, but, you know, that'll maybe be where we have like movie nights and, you know, yoga classes on Saturday mornings. You know, it'll just be such a dynamic space for us to use in a lot of different ways.
Is that in the back section?
It's right up against like the lake. So that beautiful backdrop will be, you know, just so perfect. And then it's a really beautiful structure. That's just, you know, really simple, but very clean. And so on like a Tuesday afternoon, when we're not programming the space, like we'll have bistro seating out there and it will be a great place for you to have a park lunch, you know? So I think it'll be just one of our great first structures for a lot of different things. You could even get married. I mean, I think there's going to be so many different types of events and stuff that we can do out there besides the, you know, check the box on all the things you'd expect. So.
Right. And so what kind of seating are we going to have in terms of quantity or type in the amphitheater?
So it's been, the kind of size has been designed for about 3,000 people, which is kind of what we did is we like Goldilocks the problem. So it's like bigger than Parc Sans-Souci, but not as big as Parc International. And so trying to fit that like little middle niche. And then it has a concrete kind of dance floor with like a seat wall, but we're not going to have any permanent seating so that it's a much more flexible space. Sure. Now, can we bring in seating and all that kind of stuff for different types of events? Absolutely. I think we'll, you know, it'll be used for all sorts of stuff, but it'll be like the most flexible it can be, which is kind of just left open. And of course we have like our own park, you know, bistro seats and stuff like that can go out there on a regular day. But if we need to like rent a bunch of folding chairs for, you know, the Paul Simon concert or something, like that would be amazing.
Your mouth, God's ears. Carry on.
I know. Just saying. I know he's not going to play anymore, but he could come back to Lafayette just one more time.
I mean, I think so.
Yeah. He loves it here.
So anything else in phase 2?
There is one more thing. Okay. So we have had an amazing amount of involvement from the veterans around the community throughout the process. They showed up in the master planning process. They have helped us raise a ton of money. We've raised like $650,000 towards this thing. And so that is also going to be in phase 1. And it's going to be this really beautiful, very like, you know, kind of poignant space. It's going to have these big tablets that have major American conflicts in history, kind of the history of all of that and what it means. It'll have this educational component, a flag for each branch of the armed service. There are 6. I learned about Merchant Marines. I didn't know about them.
Oh, yes.
No offense to Merchant Marines. You just always hear about, you know, 4 and plus Coast Guard, you know.
Absolutely.
And then it has kind of the capacity to seat, same thing, like just, it would be like fold out chairs we rent or something. Capacity to seat about 700. And then in the back, there'll be this really beautiful seat wall that has, you know, just this really nice place to rest and reflect and kind of enjoy that space. But it could also be used as a venue for, you know, military celebrations, Memorial Day, Flag Day, Veterans Day, military weddings, memorial ceremonies, that kind of stuff. So they helped us design it. So it's what they want it to be. And so we're really excited about that.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that is amazing. And so we're thinking phase 2 will be done 2021?
For sure. I mean, I shouldn't say for sure because, I mean, when we said the first phase was going to be a year-long project, it was also like the rainiest 2 years on record. And we don't have a roof to hide under, right? So I apologize for the bad weather, but it certainly was a huge drawback on weather delays. So I want to say, I will tell you 2021 is what we are absolutely like telling people and hoping for. But if it's at all as rainy as it was the first year of construction for phase one, I don't know. Probably though. There's a few more roofs in this one, you know.
I feel like we are just like due for a break. And so I gotta think we cannot have a super rainy year on top of everything else this year.
Tell me about it. And after a day like today, you would just hope, can we just have like 365 days of that?
Well, that's why I moved to Los Angeles. This is what it's like there all the time.
Right.
But it's not the same food.
But for the rest of us, we all love the other LA.
Exactly.
Too much. Exactly. And so we're willing to put up with.
Because you get just enough of these days to hold you on, you know?
You do.
Yeah.
And you know, I resent that. A lot of people are like, oh, it's so hot. And I'm like, I think we have like 9 months of awesome weather. Yes, summer is awful. But like, if you just like look past that and you're like, oh, I'm just getting a facial, you know, like whatever, just all day long. It's actually really amazing for a lot of months. Like
every space in Acadiana is air conditioned. How can you possibly complain about the heat?
And like nobody else can wear shorts on Christmas. Like it's great.
Right.
Yeah, I love it. I'm not kidding. I really think that people, you know, that have much harsher climates, 4 seasons and stuff, they age. You know, we're just much more like supple and young looking. It's just it's all the humidity. We just have to appreciate it.
Absolutely. I mean, it doesn't do a lot sometimes for the curls, but
no,
I'll take it.
I know.
I will take it. So there's more phases though after phase 2, right?
There are.
Okay.
Yes. So the next one that we really want to focus on is in the front. So the Farmers Market Pavilion, a Louisiana themed carousel, and also kind of a little Louisiana themed mini golf course. So all of those are going to be just great revenue generators for the park. As I mentioned, kind of that sustainable, you know, financial stream. But that'll just be a whole family fun zone in and of itself too. And the farmers market, as you know, is already so popular. It is beloved as its own thing. It just like happens to be in the park and people love that. But like it is such a successful market. So many companies and so many businesses started off in a 10 by 10 tent there and now have like brick and mortar restaurants. I mean, it's really, it like gives me chills to think about how many people got to start their life dreams at the market. You know, and we just want that to grow. You know, we want twice as many vendors and twice as many success stories of people who were able to quit that job they hated and just bake pies because that's what they want to do for their life, you know, and that happens. People do that. They tell us those stories. So I think it's amazing. It's only going to get better. And having a roof over their head for inclement weather will make all the difference.
Well, and then you really can count on them being out there, you know, every Saturday, which I think is so important.
And it'll also be a great venue for, again, just another set of night markets or, you know, dance, you know, like dance nights or whatever. I think it'll be a great venue. So
Right. Special holiday events. I see there being lots of holiday time out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I know. I can imagine this thing at Christmas. Come on.
I know. And honestly, I'm glad you said that because it's one of the things that like touches me to think about in the future. You know, yes, we've built this amazing space, but when you start to think about the people who are already going out there and making memories and how many people will be going out there and making these amazing memories, and then the amazing traditions that we are going to be starting, right? So in 50 years, it will be the 50th annual Christmas in the park. In 50 years, it'll be, you know, I mean, it's just like that kind of stuff. You're just like, you think about these other communities that have spaces like this, that have that longevity, that your grandparents, your parents, you want your kids and their kids to all be able to share this like event experience. And we're making spaces for that. I mean, it's the way we feel about festivals and, you know, things that have been around for decades. Like we're going to start a whole new set of those.
Right.
And that's amazing.
And I think about the festivals that are in our parks, whether it's at Girard Park or Festival International. And I know that we've got some space constraints. And so this gives us a place to expand if we need it in the future.
It could, or partnerships. I know that both of those festivals are starting to look at like other programming opportunities throughout the year or something. You know, I think that there's a lot of ways for us to be, you know, for new things, to partner with existing things, you know. I will just dispel the rumors. No, there's not been conversation about completely relocating either of those festivals at the park. I hear that all the time.
Right.
Just want to put that one to rest right here.
I don't see how you could have, like, for Festival International, for example, there's no way you could have 7 different stages all at the same time in that
No
park.
way. Well, and then just I mean, it's perfect downtown. Yeah, it's tight, sure, and there's constraints and stuff, but like
That's part of the
it's
fun.
surrounded by so much existing infrastructure and existing businesses. And I mean, yeah, it would never be the same at all.
Right.
No.
Right.
Yeah. So
But
there's no
another
conversation.
stage to add an 8th stage at Moncus Park.
Maybe
and run a
so, yeah.
shuttle, that I could see.
Yeah, totally. Or like, how the Acadiana Parkline, I'm sorry, Festival Acadienne, like expanded to the Hilliard. Like that was a brilliant move. That's such
Right.
it's like a different, more peaceful, lawn experience than the full on like giant dance floor. But we'll have all those spaces. I think, yeah, we've got 100 acres to program, and we have the potential to accommodate pretty much anything anybody wants to do out there.
That is so awesome. So, is Central Park in New York like the model? Who are you following? Who has the park that you think that's what we're going to be when we grow up?
I think, well, for one thing, one of the things that a lot of people may not know is that we actually we can't have sports. So one of the original things was, Lafayette has a lot of park spaces that already are dedicated to sports. What we don't have is kind of what the park is bringing, Moncus Park. So, these like amazing community spaces that really increase the quality of life in a different way, like cultural ways and environmental ways, rather than, just like an amazing place to have a huge softball tournament, which is important. But this is going to be like a different passive park, right? So we look a lot at other parks that are managed by nonprofits, obviously. And so Central Park is definitely one of those. But believe it or not, Jackie, Central Park was super scary in the 80s, right? I think everybody's kind of heard the,
Oh, yeah.
nightmares. They looked to Audubon Park in New Orleans because Audubon Park had already had a huge transformation by putting it into the hands of a nonprofit conservancy. And that was kind of spurred on by the zoo. It was like there was this like Save the Zoo movement. And so that just turned into, we need to have a nonprofit that can raise money independently of city dollars. And that has turned into this mega organization that has like 15 institutions, like the Insectarium, the, aquarium, all of these things. And so we don't really have to look that far for amazing models of great conservancies. Houston has a bunch of them. City Park is not run by a nonprofit conservancy. They have a strong Friends of support group. But there's just all these great people who are, regardless of whether they're managed by a nonprofit, they are struggling with the same tightening budgets and the same reliance on fundraising that we are. And so we have great relationships and honestly, this whole like nonprofit park business is literally only, a few decades old because Audubon was one of the first, honestly. And so I have found everyone in this industry to be like an open book. They're like, let me send you our template because it took us 10 years to get here and it's saved our day, And so they're always willing to just be so candid about failures, about challenges, about success stories. Because if you think about the market, we're not really in competition, like there are other nonprofits that are more competitive across like regions and nationally and all that kind of stuff. Like there's not a donor that's not going to give to Moncus Park because they already gave to Audubon Park. You know what I mean? Like if they have a relationship with both cities and both parks, they're going to give to both. So it's just been amazing because we're not in competition. And I think we all realize how hard this new model, this new industry is. So everybody's been amazing.
That is awesome.
So yeah.
Evie, I think about what y'all have accomplished and what is still to go, and I think Brandon Jornet has summed it up the best in the comment he just posted. He said, just left a tour at Moncus, and my mind hasn't stopped thinking about how much this space will enhance our quality of life.
Thanks, Brandon. It's true.
Right.
It's true. We say that all the time, and I think it's so important for us to talk about like parks as economic development. We need to stop talking about them as like, oh, it's that place that they have to mow all the time, or it's that place, oh, sure, it's got a playground for your kids, or, oh, yeah, it's got that walking trail. Like, people love living near parks, People love living in cities with parks. People love having all of this kind of public infrastructure that allows you to have a dynamic life that you enjoy. And the next generation and the generation after that are only going to demand it more. And so when people start to think about where they want to raise their families, where they want to go to college, where they want to open up businesses, whatever, they're looking at other places, whether across the country, the globe, but specifically regionally. Like we have to compete with the Austins, the Houstons, the New Orleans, the Baton Rouges, the, wherever. We have to be in that market of look at these amazing amenities. And we all know that our culture is off the charts. But this is the whole thing behind like kind of Project Front Yard and Parish Proud. It's like we have to take a little bit more pride in the public infrastructure that shows how much we care about investing in the physical built environment that supports that great backyard culture that we like all love and are basically here because of, the people, the culture. And so if we could make the front yard look like that, and the park is going to be the basically biggest front yard I hope we have. But, I think that's really where we need to start thinking. And we've got to say yes to more of these types of projects that, really will turn the city into this desirable place to live, not only because we have amazing festivals and amazing food and amazing people, but because we have these amazing spaces.
Well, and I think, EB, I know you mentioned it earlier, but we could say it every 10 minutes and somebody still won't hear it. There are no tax dollars that have paid for any of this.
Well, I will correct you there. You did buy the property.
Oh, well, sure.
I did too. Right.
Right.
So yeah, because the city did purchase the property, and that, just ensured that it would always be a public park. So
but those are pennies on the dollar compared to
for sure. Yeah.
all the work that's been done with all the donations that the people have created.
20 million in donations. I mean, it's incredible. And
it's the people's park.
It really is. And people, I think when they get out there, when they see the master plan, when they hear the story of like how many people created that vision, it's not that hard of a sell, Jackie. I'm lucky that I'm fundraising for something that, is so heartfelt and also, there's something kind of for everybody. Like you're a dog person, cool, we got a dog park. You're a kid person, we're going to have a tree house, So it's like there's almost something for any philanthropist to kind of invest in. But it's a real testament to this community and how when we can rally around a vision, we can do anything. We are like the only park in the country has no public funding.
That's amazing.
And like here in Lafayette, like it's amazing. It was something that we set out to do. And honestly, the other thing is, if oil prices hadn't crashed, we might have built the whole thing by now. It's like we started fundraising like right after it tanked. And so we were like, oh cool. Like,
awesome.
Also started a little bit earlier, but it's okay. It happens when it needs to happen. So
I have some friends who just finished building a new house that is basically park adjacent. The park is their backyard. Yes. And so I was there for Saints Monday Night Football last week. And the whole time I'm sitting there watching the game, which did not go well for us, I was immediately distracted by the view out of their back patio. And it's just amazing to me to see. And I think back to what that looked like when it was the horse farm and the barn and the little white house. Y'all have come so far in such a short amount of time.
Thank you for saying that. I know the patience has been tried with the community because everybody's just chomping at the bit to get in there. I totally appreciate that. And believe me, I get it. I want the park to be open, because I want everybody to kind of be able to enjoy it, especially now with everything going on. But you're right that like when we talk to other park conservancies and tell them our timeline, they're like, say what? Like you've raised all this money, you finished the master plan, you're already through phase 1 and you're almost in phase 2 in 7 years. You're like that. They're like, that's unheard of. So that's another, when you compare us to benchmarks of other park stories, they're like, oh, y'all are like light years, moving at the speed that no one moves at when it comes to park development. So, that makes me feel good. So that that's another reason why I keep in touch with these other park conservancies, because they're like, you get like fussed out on Facebook, and then I'm like, call my friends and they're like, you're doing great. This is amazing timeline. And I'm like, okay, we're doing okay.
And don't you think part of that though is you're not having to move at the speed of government?
I definitely do. That's
At
the
the end of the day, it
point.
takes longer.
That's the point. Yeah, absolutely. And I will tell you, with all due respect to our friends in bureaucracy, some of the biggest hiccups that have caused the biggest time delays were those bureaucratic pieces, the red tape that we had to deal with. There's a lot of permits that you have to get for a park. There's a lot of, checking those boxes, and those literally have cost us years. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's just the nature of the beast. It is one of the good things about government. It's also one of the bad things about government, because sometimes you don't want things to move at the speed of light, but for projects that, have donor dollars that need to be, like invested quickly. So anyway, but yeah,
That's
it would
awesome.
be a lot slower if it was a government
Right.
project for sure. So,
Well, and for everybody watching, you can go to moncuspark.org/donate, and you too can be a part of this park. It is of the people, for the people, by the people. And so give the people your money. This is what's going to help us get through phase 2 and into the future phases. There's so much going on here. Don't miss the chance. And if you're not really sure what you want to do and you just want to make sure they've got a little green today, then you can go to their page on. Did y'all do one of the Spark pages? No, just moncuspark.org donate. Okay, good. Stick to that one. That's easy.
Yeah.
Keep it all in one place.
Yeah, and people can give to all the different, you can give to the different thing you're passionate about. You can give to the dog park. You can give to, and help us maintain that. You can give to this, playground, Veterans Memorial, all these different things. The other thing we just launched is our membership. So because people are not paying, a tax bill every year to support us, we hope that they'll consider how their family can literally just like mail us a check in lieu of that tax. And join us as a member, and there'll be special perks for being founding members, and it's just the right thing to do.
Right. I mean,
I'm a member.
Everybody should be, and we already know Ezel's going to give to the dog park, and Wheelers are going to give to the treehouse. So pick your thing, whatever it is that's in the park that touches your heart, and give, donate, and support to make that happen.
There's something for everybody. There really is.
Evie,
And it's
you have
so
done a
beautiful.
great thing.
Oh, thank you. It took a village. I just send a lot of email. You know that. It would not have been possible without the politicians. It would not be possible without our board, without our donors. I mean, and the people who had the vision of like what this master plan needed to be. I've just facilitated a process and have been so humbled and honored to be able to be involved. And it's great now. It's going to be even better. And it really is so pretty. Call me, Jackie. We'd love to take you out there.
I would love it.
I mean, I know you kind of go sometimes, but
I just, my friend's backyard. It's right there. It's kind of hard not to. But no, I would love that. And to think about all that y'all have done in such a short amount of time and all that you're going to do, I think this is just one of the greatest gifts to Lafayette. And I cannot thank you enough for all your efforts and Danica's efforts to really make this happen. Y'all weren't in school to be park builders. So I appreciate you taking this detour in your careers.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it's been the career of a lifetime. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, I don't even know what you would follow this with. I'm kind of like, maybe I should just retire. No, I'm kidding. But wouldn't that be nice? But They definitely don't pay you enough at park conservancies to even dream of that.
No.
But no, I think part of what has been the most rewarding piece of it is just being able to see the joy of people seeing what they have accomplished. I mean, together, we have come together and done this amazing thing. And it has happened because people had a vision and a generous heart. And it just proves to me that our community can do anything.
That is so awesome. Thank you for making the time with us tonight. I know this is a big day for you. And so I appreciate you setting aside a little bit of time for us. And I hope everybody watching becomes a member, donates, supports. We have to keep Moncus Park on track. It's
going to be great. I am so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you. And thank you truthfully, the rest of the nonprofits that got to come on today, because this exposure is really, really helpful for all of our missions.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And look, we've got 4 more hours to go, and we're going to wrap it up, bring it home. I'm going to be in my bed, nice and tight asleep. I can't wait. You're going to get like the best night's sleep ever. Your heart is going to be so full of your charitable, time given to these nonprofits. And yeah. Absolutely. EB, thank you so much. And to everybody watching, donate, support, and we'll see you at 8 o'clock when we are going to be talking to Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Can't wait. Awesome. Bye. Thank you. Guys.
day is through.